Netmiko. Okay, today's class is very special because what we're gonna do today, we're gonna configure a Cisco ASA known as Adaptive Security Appliance. So I'm sure that you guys have heard of firewall. So firewall is a marketing term. Firewall is a marketing term, but the product name always differ on the basis of their vendors. So guys, tell me something about firewall. What is a firewall? Any guesses? Okay. So a firewall is a security appliance. A firewall is a security appliance placed it between two networks. Let's say this is my private network and this is my public network. So I've placed this firewall to protect my private network from the attackers coming towards from the side of public network. This is firewall, right? But here we are not to discuss how does a firewall works, what are the rules and regulations configured on the password, what is the basic setup. No, we are just gonna see, can we push a Netmiko script to a Cisco ASA firewall also. Just a second guys, someone at the door. All right. So now the firewall router, or sorry, the firewall can be accessed through the management interface or through the physical interface is where we have configured an IP address. So today what we will do, we will see that how we can push a Netmiko library to or Netmiko script to a Cisco firewall. Because in the last class, I was showing you that the Netmiko library supports a lot of vendors. So here we have the support for Cisco ASA also. Then next type of product is Cisco FTD, Firepower Threat Defense, because the next generation firewall is known as FTD, which is also a Cisco product. Firepower Threat Defense, FTD. So we have Adaptive Security Appliance known as ASA, and we have Firepower Threat Defense, which is known as FTD. So this FTD gonna do what? It's the same firewall, but with next generation features. So this is now Cisco doesn't sell ASA. ASA is out of life, out of service. We have the new box which is FTD, but here we just want to see how we can push the script to the ASA only. Okay. So first you need to do what guys? We must have this VMware setup, right? Inside this VMware, we have evng. So I have already added the image. Power on this virtual machine. Let's power on this evng first. Okay. Then you need WinSS. In the WinSSP, I'll access my evng. Okay. Now you notice that inside this IOL, sorry, not IOL, the QEMU, I've added ASA. So I'll share this image with you guys also so that you can add this ASA in your evng as well. ASA 915K. So this is known as ASA-V. ASA virtualization. This is the virtualized image. This is the virtualized image. This is the virtualized image of the ASA, guys. So I'll share this with the image, and I've also added ASA V. So I've added two ASAs. Let's go to the browser and access the event. I hope my screen is visible, guys. Hello, I'm audible. Hello. Is it visible, Suma? Can you see my screen? Can you see the event? Sorry, not visible. Okay. Oh, you guys would have told me earlier also. I was explaining to you. So first you need to turn on the event. Event is on. Then you will log into the WinSSP. Inside the WinSSP, I've already added the ASA images. This is my ASA. This is my ASA. Okay. So now I will be configuring these Cisco ASAs using this Python script, and where we are using the Netmiko library. So I was explaining to you guys this part. Adaptive Security Appliance ASA is the firewall offered by Cisco, and latest is Firepower Threat Defense. This is also a Cisco product, and this is known as next generation firewall. So here we have ASA Adaptive Security Appliance, and we have Firepower Threat Defense. So we will be configuring ASA using Netmiko library. So first of all, we have this ASA here. Okay, let me do one thing. Delete all of them. We'll add just one ASA. So guys, this is not a security class, or we are not going to, see what is an ASA, how does it works and all. We'll just make the basic configuration like IP address configuration and SSH configurations, so that we can access this Cisco ASA from the desktop and we can push the script. Okay. So here, first of all, we'll go to the nodes. Now already added the ASA. Let's select the ASA V and say save. So I have my ASA here, and go to the network management cloud and save. Connected. After this connectivity, let's power on this file. So I'll power on my ASA. Now ASA has this interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0. On this interface, we'll configure an IP address. By the way, we'll configure DHCP. We'll not configure the IP address manually. We will be using DHCP here. We'll take a few seconds to boot. Okay. Let's access the CLI. ASA is booting. Okay, let's wait. Okay, so as you can see that we are in the user mode right now. So the CLI modes are similar to the Cisco routers and switches. Okay, and you will log in here using the enable command, but it is asking for the password, guys. It is asking for a password. Any guesses what is the password? So by default there is no password in Cisco ASA. You just have to say enter. Once you enter, there is no password by default. Okay, so once you say enter, we are in the privilege mode. Then you go to the configuration mode and you say host name ASA, let's say. So I've changed the host name now. I want an IP address on this interface gigabit 0/0. So you will go to the interface gigabit 0/0. First of all, you'll say no shutdown. Then, guys, in case of firewall, this is my private interfaces, this is my public interface. Here we are connected to ISP, let's say. So whenever you configure ASA interfaces, you have to define interface name, which is also known as name if. If you will not configure this name if on the physical interface of this firewall, it will not be responding for your packets or your requests. So that's why we always configure a name. Like if this is connected to my private network, I can give it a name inside. I can give it a name outside. I can give it a name management. So we have to configure a name if on the firewall interface. So in this case, we have this firewall, and on this firewall, I'll say name if inside, because it will assign a security level. By default, the security level is 0, but whenever you give it a name as inside, it means that it is connected to a private network and it's secure. So that's why the security level is given 100. So it's always ranging from 0 to 100. So 100 is always best. Okay, so the security level is this. Then I'll say IP address DHCP. So this interface will get an IP address. Text, save. Enable configure terminal hostname ASA, enable interface this, no shutdown, name if inside, IP address DHCP exit. This is how we'll configure the IP address. Okay. Now let's see the IP address is there or not. Did you notice one thing? In case of ASA, you don't need to add do, guys. Remember? Just confirm, say yes or no. So we don't have to add. Do hide. We don't have to add this do in case of firewall. Second, the command line is a bit different. In routers, we say show IP interface brief. But in case of ASA, you'll say show interface IP brief. Instead of show IP interface brief, you will say show interface IP brief. So the IP address is 192.168.236.136. Hmm. After that, we'll say SSH version 2. The command line is a bit different. Okay, SSH version 2. Then you have to create a username admin, password admin, privilege 50. In case of Cisco ASA, the router, the command is username admin, privilege 15, password admin. But here the privilege is in the last. Then crypto key generate RSA, and you'll say modulus. So the modulus will ask you the how many bits you want. So I said 1024 bits. Yes, we don't want to use the default RSS. Crypto key generate RSA modulus. Modulus define the size of the crypto keys, which is 1024 bits. After that, you have to say AAA authentication SSH console local. Because here we don't have the line VTYs. In case of routers, we say line VTY 0 to 4 login local. It means that please ask for the username and password. But this time we'll say AAA authentication SSH or console, but you have to ask the username and password from the local database. Then SSH 0.0.0.0.0.0.0 and inside. Please allow SSH traffic coming from any source, any subnet mask on this interface, inside interface. So this is how we will allow the SSH traffic. This is how we will allow the SSH traffic. So SSH needs to be configured, and after that we can go to the VS Code and we can create scripts. Enable configure terminal hostname interface no shutdown name if SSH version 2 username crypto keys and rate triple authentication and allow SSH traffic. So I have also shared the command line in the WhatsApp group. Now first let's verify this. Let's verify using putty so that we can access this firewall or AS. Once the SSH is working, then we can create the script. Okay. So show interface IP brief. The IP address is this 192.168.236.136 and say open. Yes. Accept. Admin. Admin. But you see that even if you have privilege level 15, you are still landing in privilege mode. Sorry, the user mode. In case of Cisco router and switches, if you have privilege level 15, you always go to the privilege mode, guys. But in case of Cisco ASA, even if you have privilege level 15, you will always go to the user mode first. Then you have to say enable. There is no enable password by default. So let's configure enable password Cisco. So we have configured enable password Cisco as well. We have configured enable password Cisco as well. All right. So it's working now. SSH is working now. So we can go to the VS Code and we can create for a script for this Cisco ASA also. Okay, guys. So I fixed that problem. Right? You remember we were not able to run a Python file from here. It was giving some error related to the random something. It was giving us an error related to random, like some random file is not able to download and all. This was the error we were getting in this Python script, and we were not able to run it without doing the debugging, right? So this was the error message we were getting here. File C user this and in from import random. So basically there's a some function inside this Netmiko library random. So we were not able to get it because in my laptop, let me open that folder first. So there was a file name with random, guys, that was creating the problem. I had a Python file or Python script here with the name random. So when I was running this library, like Netmiko library and all, SSS1 or SSS2, so there was a file name with random, which was creating the problem. So I've deleted that file and now it's working fine. You see this, this file. This was the file inside my folder. So I've deleted this file. It's in the recycle bin now. So now there's no problem. We don't have to say debugging. We can directly run the Python script from here. So let's create a new file. Save Netmiko ASA.py. So this time, by the way, it's not recommended to put the library name inside the file, but right now it's not just netmiko.py. Don't create a file name like netmiko.py, then it will create a problem. So that's why I've added netmiko underscore asa.py. First thing first, tell me guys, how I import the connect handler. What is the command, or what is the code of line of code, sorry. How we will import the connect handler, tell me. Very good. From Netmiko import connect handler. This is the first thing we'll do. Likewise this, like we do here, right? From from Netmiko import connect handler. If you want to import get pass, you can import get pass also. Import get pass. Now you have two choices. Either you want it to make a dynamic script, or you want just manual script, like you are giving the username and password manually, or you want to give the username password by user asking from the user. So let's do it first static. Let's say this time AS. Let's create the device details first. Okay, so now first you will say device type. What is the device type this time? The device type is Cisco AS, and you remember, if you'll say Cisco AS, it will not work. it should be Cisco ASA. It should be Cisco ASA. That's why I have shared the list with you guys also in the WhatsApp group in the last class. I've shared that list, the device supported platforms. So please make sure that you don't make a spelling mistake. Device type Cisco ASA. Then IP address. Now this IP could be dynamic or static. This time we have the IP 192.168.236.136. Then after IP we have username, admin, password, admin. And if you notice, while I was trying to log in through putty, ASA was giving me access of the user mode first, not the privilege mode, but the user mode. So we'll go to the user mode first, then we'll go to the privilege mode, right? So that's why we have to we have to enter the enable password also. And what is that enable password this time? Cisco. If you compare it to this, I was not giving the enable password because once you have the privilege level 15, once you have the privilege level 15, you will always land in the privilege mode. So enable password is not required. But in case of ASA, even if you have the privilege level 15, you will still land in the user mode. So you always need this secret or enable password. But the keyword here is secret. Then connect is equal to connect handler double asterisk AS. So we have created a variable with connect because now when we have to run the commands, we'll say connect dot commands, right? So connect is equal to connect handler double asterisk sign ASA. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's just check the running configuration. But before that, go to the ASA and just check the command here. Show running config. Yeah, it's okay. That's the command. Show running config. Show running config. You can make the configuration, but this time I just want to run a simple command. This command. Output is equal to connect dot send command because I just want to see the running configuration. I don't want to make any configuration this time. What if I have to make the configuration, guys? What would be the syntax? Remember? It would be send config set, right? But this time send command and the commands. Once you send the command, I want you to print it out, print the output, and then close the connection. Connect dot okay. Disconnect. Connect dot disconnect. Control S. Save it and let's run. Okay, that's good. We got the option. Output is equal to send commands. Let's do one thing. I think when we have a single command, then we have this problem. Send commands your running config. Save it. See how we are supposed to fix this problem because you got this error message. So guys, be careful here. When we have just one command to run, then you can directly put it here. No need to create a variable. I was creating a variable as commands and then I was trying to execute it. But now if we have just one command, we can execute it directly. Send command show running config. So now once we send this command, you see the output here. This is the output of the running configuration, and you remember that on it interface gigabit 0/0 we said that name if inside security level 100 IP address DHCP. We have also configured AAA authentication SSH console local, right? Then SSH, this command was there, SSH version 2, right? Then we also added a username, admin, password, encrypted, privilege 15, because in case of Cisco ASA, the password is by default encrypted. So it's working now. I'm able to get the configuration or the show running out config from my firewall also. So you notice that most of the things are identical, but there's a change in the configuration. There's a change in the configuration. First of all, we have enabled SSH. So how we enable SSH on a Cisco router, it's way different than configuring it on a firewall. Interface inside, outside, or all these things. After that, you make configuration or the IP address configuration. Then you create a username, password. Then you say, I want you to allow SSH traffic on this interface. So this was the configuration. We did it earlier. I've shared it in the chat box also. And after you make that configuration, then we can go to the VS Code and we can write down this basic Python script using the Netmiko library. Any question here? Please feel free to ask. Bhava, Suma, Yashwant. Is this part clear? Okay. Let's check making some configuration also. It works or not. So show interface IP brief. Okay guys. So this is my ASA here, and on ASA we have interface. Let's see how we can configure an IP address on this gigabit 0/1. So we'll configure an IP address manually on this interface. Okay. For that, we'll go to the VS Code, and this time we'll create a variable with the commands. And inside this, we'll have multiple commands. Okay. First is interface. What is the interface number? Gigabit Ethernet 0/1. 0/1. Then in order to configure the IP address, you can say no shutdown first. Then you can configure name if. Let's say this interface is connected to the public network. So I can say name if outside. IP address 10.10.10.1 255.255.0. So I want to configure this interface. Please don't forget to add this. And after that, I want to see show IP interface. Sorry, So interface IP brief. I want to check that IP is configured or not. So once I wanted to execute these commands, once these commands are executed, show me the interface IP brief output also. Show me the interface IP brief also. Now it's not gonna be send commands. This time it's gonna be send config set and commands. Output is equal to connect that send config set, because this time the commands related to the configuration mode. So now the Netmiko library will go to the firewall or ASA, log into at enable configuration mode. Inside the configuration mode, the interface will be configured. Let's say, how does it works? Configure terminal, interface, no shutdown, name if outside. So any name other than inside will get the security level 0 by default. IP address and then show IP interface brief. So you can see now my gigabit Ethernet 0/1 is in up state and IP address is also there, which is 10.10.10.1. Even you can do one thing, because we are always supposed to save the configuration, right? So whenever you make configuration, you can always add this keyword. You can always say, right, let's configure the third interface, gigabit 0/2, let's say. So this time we'll configure 0/2. Let's configure it a name as DMZ, demilitarized zone, and IP address could be 20.20.20.1. So I want to save the configuration as well. So you can say right, save. You can see now the interface is configured as well as the configuration is saved. As well as the configuration is saved. So we are able to configure the interfaces. We can get the configuration, the running configuration, right? And likewise, you saved it to a text file for the routers. You can do the same thing for ASA also. You can try this once you'll start working on this Netmiko library using this script. You can also save it to an external file also. All right. Likewise, if you have other vendors in your deployment or in your environment, you can try on those vendors also how to make the configuration using this Netmiko library, because the list of supported vendors is here. So all of you guys are having Cisco in your environment? Suma, Yaswant and Bhavav. Okay. guys. So you can also add this ASA to your evng, and then you can push this script. So firewall is working with this script. Yes guys, please feel free to ask till now if you have any challenge. You guys don't participate in the class, just sit all the time. No challenge. Okay, you can just let me know. Okay, there's no challenge right now, we can proceed. Or if there's any question you can ask, but guys, at least give me a confirmation. Okay. Okay. So the next thing after this netmiko which we're gonna start is known as netconf. Yes, network automation is not just having one tool or one library or one script to automate it. We have a lot of options. Okay, we have options like telnet library. We have options like netmiko. Likewise, we have netconf. Okay, to make the configuration. And in the netconf also stands for network configuration. By the way, netconf stands for network configuration as well. So we have a network configuration protocol, netconf. Again, it is an open standard protocol, not proprietary to Cisco. It is using SSH as a transport protocol over port number 830. So even if you are using netconf, you have to configure SSH, because from my PC, if I want to send netconf scripts, so netconf is using SSH as a transport. It means that netconf has the secure communication. It is using XML to read and write configuration data on devices. So guys, we will be exploring two data formats which are very interesting, as well as both of them are used for different purpose. So XML is known as extensible markup language. Right now we are talking about XML. But likewise, we have one more data format which is known as JSON. So right now the XML stands for extensible markup language. Extensible markup language. Now, why does it use XML, or what is the advantage of using as XML? We'll discuss about it. But right now I'm just giving you idea that what we're gonna start in the upcoming class, because it's a new topic, so it's better to start in the next class. But then, okay, you'll have some idea. Till then we'll start with the netconf. Okay, you guys can also explore it. Now, how does it works? So it has a procedure, or it has a flow, right? So first of all, there's a session establishment. Like SSH, it will build a connection with the machine first. Session establishment. Once the session is established, it will be sending remote calls, remote procedure calls. Now, the netconf is not just sending the direct command line. It will be using XML format, guys. I'll show you how does it works, but it always has netconf client and netconf server. So the client sends XML request. So I'll show you how does the data looks like in XML and how does it work in JSON. But first we'll be working on XML here. Server replies with XML response. And after this, you have data store to get the configuration backup, or to make the configuration on the routers. Okay, so we'll be talking about the running configuration. Okay, then you have candidate test config before committing, and then you have the startup, which is config that loads on reboot. So running configuration, the current configuration. Candidate configuration is the test config before the committing configuration on the device. And then we have config that loads on reboot is known as the startup configuration. So if you want to make the configuration on the devices using netconf, you will be using edit config option. If you want the configuration, you will be using get config option. You will be using get config option. Now our focus is on Cisco appliances, guys. Right now we are not talking about other appliances. Right now our focus is on Cisco appliances. So netconf is supported on Cisco iOS, okay, known as iOS XE. Then we have operating system like iOS XR, Nexus switches. So the operating system is known as NXOS, and ASA, Adaptive Security Appliance. So iOS XE, XR, NXOS, and ASA, all these devices supports the netconf. Known as netconf. Okay, guys. So this is going to be our discussion for the next session, which is netconf. It is a very interesting protocol, and we will also exploring XML. We will also exploring XML and JSON. So first I'll give you an idea of XML and JSON. Once you have the idea of XML and JSON, we'll talk about the netconf. Like what is XML, what is JSON, what is the difference, and where we need XML or where we need JSON. All right. You'll say, okay, is it the replacement of Netmiko? I would say no. Netmiko supports a wide range of operating system, guys, as compared to netconf. So I'll say netconf is not a replacement of Netmiko. No, no way. Okay, so Netmiko is very interesting. We have discussed about it, and it also supports legacy devices, and comparatively it supports a wide range of vendors as compared to the netconf. But netconf is also a very interesting tool which can be used to automate the networking task, used to automate the configuration, but it works in different way. All right, make sense? Or no? Yeah, because the Netmiko sends only text commands. Sorry. Yeah, netconf, they're different. I'll give you an idea what is the Ansible, and then there's a new solution known as Terraform, which is it's more latest as compared to Ansible now. So people are moving towards the Terraform. Okay, yeah, and Suma, you can write the script using the XML, but the device will reject it if you'll do it with Netmiko. Yeah. All right. That's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll share the image of Cisco ASA and you can try it on Firewall as well. And the initial configuration, I've shared it in the WhatsApp group, that how to make the initial configuration on Cisco Firewall. But still, if you have any challenge, I'm just one message away. You can just drop a message on WhatsApp anytime, okay? And I would love to help you guys. So netconf, then we'll talk about Ansible. So most probably, guys, after 2 weeks, we'll be finishing our class. Okay, on 11th or 12th of October. Hello. Yeah. Because I just don't want to rush into things. Otherwise, we can do 2 hours class also, and it would be finished earlier. But let's keep it slow, okay? And let's get familiar with this. All right, guys. Have a good night. Yeah, you're welcome.